What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy with Trade and Decoded. It is June 20th, 2024. Hope you enjoyed your yesterday random Wednesday in the middle of the week off. It's always nice. Makes the week nice and short. Also makes for interesting times leading up to and possibly thereafter the trading days wise. But nonetheless, today we had a $5 range. Relatively unexpected if you were paying attention to the pre-market. Pre-market looked a little bit low volume to begin with, and then it started to move shortly after the 8:30 reports, which is nice. We got a little aggressive on one of the trades that we took this morning. When I say a little aggressive, meaning we were looking to play the gap fill. Well, let's go ahead and launch a chart and see what was going on here. So in pre-market, we had 3 levels high that I had charted here, plus a futures line, and our 3 pre-market levels, the blue lines, and then quite a few levels low that we added as the price started to move through. But we also had Friday's high of day well below us at 548.62. Now that is the gap. If we open above that line, which we did, we like to see the gap get filled. It doesn't have to get filled. It doesn't mean it's going to get filled on the very first attempt on a move down. It doesn't mean that it's going to get filled today at all. It ultimately did, but it's something that happens often. So this morning, as we were trending down in pre-market, our put line was a breach, it was a candle close for those conservative traders below 549.36. Our call line was a breach of 549.98. Same rules always apply as long as Qs aren't at resistance or on support, blah, blah, blah. Always be cautious of what's going on in the Qs. Now today, Qs and SPY were kind of not following lockstep with each other. Right off the bat, ADD seemed to have a better grasp on SPY than the Qs did. That later changed throughout the day, but nonetheless. As we were coming into the open 5 minutes before open, I told everybody, guys, kind of like the idea of buying puts as close to 549.59 as we can, which was this line that we were struggling to get back above in pre-market, and then hoping for this support that we created here in pre-market to fail and allow us to come down. Well, at the open, many of us just jumped into puts on the very first candle. Now, it's super aggressive, and it doesn't mean anything. We just knew that we had a stop loss at a candle close above 549.59. That was what we expressed. That was what we talked about. It was everything for the aggressive traders out there needed to know before it happened. You either do it or you don't. If you don't do it, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay? I'm not here trying to convince you to do something you don't feel comfortable doing. For me, we had a gap below us. We were trending down into pre-market. I had the ability to have a nice tight stop, and I told everybody, as long as we open below 549.59, I'm going. Okay? Now, that worked out. We moved down. We closed below the put line, so the conservative traders could have got in there. We made it to our first target low and a little bit lower, and at this point, Qs were coming down to a line of support, which they got through, and then down to the next line of support. Now, what was weird about today is most of the top 10 this morning was green. I expected ADD to open up way in the green. It did not. ADD opened, oops, I didn't mean to move that. ADD opened up right here at minus 339. I was a little surprised by that, considering we had gapped up so much over the weekend or over Wednesday. And then it started to drop. So I felt good about holding onto those puts because of the drop in ADD. But as Qs get down to support levels down here, start telling everybody, guys, Qs are on support. If you want to take your profits, great. If you want to hold on, move your stops into profit so that we don't get stuck on any reversal that may come. So for those who got into this trade, whether you got in aggressively or conservatively, you made anywhere from 15% to 30%, we'll say, from start to finish. And again, depending on when you got out, where you got out, we were hoping for the pink line. Qs were stuck on a support that it wasn't breaking anymore, and ADD started to print green. So at that point, we had to consider taking ourselves out of the trade. Once we closed below this line, I made it very clear, as I always do, if you're trying to hold for more, make the yellow line we just got through at 549.04, a close above that should be your stop. Okay? Period, end of story. So whether you got out down here because Qs were on support or you got out here because you got stopped out, should have been in profit either way if you played aggressively. If not, you know, what it is. I don't know what to say. We started to move up. Now, I wasn't getting into calls because even when we got close to our call line, at this time, Qs were too close to their resistance. Okay? I'm not interested in buying calls unless the Qs could get through this resistance, period. But Jimmy, it crossed the line. I don't care. This line exists because we had resistance here. This blue line exists because we had support and resistance there before. So do you trust support and resistance or do you not? If you trust that resistance is going to hold because it's not been proven to do otherwise yet, then what are you doing buying calls right here when your next line of resistance is 9 cents away? There's no room for movement if you respect resistance, not to mention the Qs being at resistance, okay? So please, pay attention to these things. These lines aren't just something you jump into without checking other things first. All right. Quickly, we started to come back down. Is at this point, wasn't looking for puts, but we had a member that was in puts already. Pat, love you, brother. I recognized that we were putting in a lower high in a pullback or a downtrend, whatever you want to call it. We had support here, right here. I told everybody if SPY can get through 549.50 and Qs can get below this orange line to the downside, it would be worth taking puts. Actually, I'd take that back. It wasn't there on the Qs. Qs had to break another support. It was 1007. This is what it was right here. We wanted to wait for the Qs to get back below the pink line and close below this line. That's exactly what it was. Guys, Qs are already trending down. This is exactly what we said. Guys, Qs are already trending down. SPY's coming off of a lower high. As long as SPY can breach through this support right here and Qs can close below this support here, I'd be a go. And we'd be hoping that the Qs can break through these supports here. And we'd like to see SPY make it down at least to the next line down. Okay, so that's where this entry came from here. This ended up being a beautiful trade because once we got down to this target, we closed below it. Naturally, we're hoping to make it to the next one at that point, which not only does it make it through there, we get down to the pink line. That's the original gap that we were trying to fill on this one. As we were in this trade, told everybody, guys, if I'm either getting out at the pink line or if the Qs, hit a support that they can't get through. Fortunately, the pink line came. We didn't have much more room to the downside at that time for a trade. And that was that. That ended up being, for anybody who played that entirety, close to 60%, which was a beautiful trade. That was the second trade of the day for me, and I was done. But with that, we pulled back. This was a lower high. Okay, lower high. Guess what else was happening? Qs were pulling back to resistance at that same time. And we talk about it all the time. Guys, look for confluence. ADD was selling off. Qs were at resistance. We were in a downtrend. Buy your pullbacks. But where are we aiming to go, Jimmy? Well, I would suggest starting with where we stopped moving lower before. Now, if this downtrend is going to continue, it would have carried us through this support and made a lower low. So when you get down to these lines, you gotta question whether you should at least put a stop in somewhere in profit or even break even at that moment in case what has been proven to be impossible to get through still is impossible to get through. We don't know. When we get in up here, we don't know. We hope this line fails, but we don't know it's going to fail. So the other thing you can do is say, hey, I'm willing to get in here. I'm willing to consider getting out here. And if I don't want to, I'm going to protect myself with a stop loss so I can't lose for hoping for more. Okay? So this ended up being a 17 to 20% trade. I only say that because there were several people who took it. And that was quick, easy money. I mean, these are 2-minute trades here. This here was what, a 5-minute, 6-minute trade for 60%? This one here was a 2-minute trade? Guys, I mean, yes, aggressive for some folks, requires you to be quick. But when the mood is right, when all the things strike what you want to see to execute, you cannot hesitate on the execution. All right. Then we started to leg back up. We took out our lower high, puts come off the table. We pull back to our original put line, down, lower highs. Okay. We always talk about it. Lower highs, lower lows, bad for calls. So we're not looking for calls anymore. We pull back to resistance. What was Q's doing at 10:45? I believe they were pushing right up against the resistance as well. Q's right here at resistance. Looking for them to not only get through this line, but hopefully down to the next one and even hopefully down to the next one. But again, I believe ADD at 10:45 was also printing red. Yeah, so ADD was at the bottom of a nice move to the downside. So we felt momentum was on our side. This was another trade opportunity. Again, we're respecting the lines, line to line. We hope it goes more. We protect ourselves in case it doesn't. After that, things got a little wonky. ADD, SPY, Qs started to get real choppy, not so fun. And I went to lunch. And then after lunch, actually while I was in lunch, we saw a perfect setup right here. We had a nice support on Qs, or on SPY rather, at 548.32. We were hoping for a move lower. And boy, did we get a great setup there. So you look at 1220 on the Qs, 1220 on the Qs right here. We were talking about, I had said it, typed it in chat. I said, guys, if Qs could get below 484.14, so she's got room. She's got room to go. Now at 1220 on ADD, I believe we had also started to print some red candles as well. Yeah, so ADD was coming up near our resistance here. Yes, that's what we were looking for. And it started to print red just a couple minutes after. So at the time, ADD was moving up to a level of resistance. Hadn't started printing red yet. But Qs had just broken through a level of support with the ability to move down. I'm sorry, Qs are over here at this time, right here. First time we had closed below that level. We were waiting for this break right here. Because we had people that were inputs here. I said, guys, if Qs get to 484.14 and through it, their next stop should be this double bottom right here. And if they get through that, we're looking for at least a move down to the pink line. Okay. Now, that all happened right here on this candle. We did get the move to the pink line, but more importantly, we closed below the pink line. That's a reason to stay into a trade. If we are breaking supports or close below support in a trending market, expect it to continue to move down to the next support. Okay. As we got down here to Fridays, sorry, I keep saying Fridays thinking that yesterday was the end of a weekend, to Tuesday's low of day, which is what this is on SPY. Tuesday's low of day. This was Tuesday's high of day. We get down to it. We close. We blow right through it. Qs still had room to go before they were going to hit their support. We were looking for the Qs to make it all the way down here. Okay. And that's why I typed out, I had screenshots on the chart here. It says, guys, Qs still have rooms to go. Don't get out of this trade yet. It pulled back a hair, pulled back, and then we got down here, and it's at this time at 12:33 that the Qs were getting real close to the support down here. Okay? So that was, I wasn't even in that trade. That was an amazing trade. Trade of the day, if you ask me. Clean, quick move down. That paid big for some folks. All right? And then the rest of the day, I had to pick up my daughter from camp. So again, this was all done while I was on my lunch break. And then I come back from my lunch break somewhere around this pullback here. And we were talking about other things. I don't trade this late in the day. And then, just there was nothing to look at the time. I know these are decent sized moves, but the next trade we did find, which was very, very late in the day, was right here. Again, Qs were breaking support. SPY was at resistance. ADD was trying to push down. Quick move. We were looking for an entry here. Exit here because Qs at 303, I think, we're smacking right up against a support line again. Right here. Yeah, so we were getting in because Qs were pulling back to resistance, looking for them to break support, looking for a quick move down. It gave it to us. We got close to our next target. Didn't make it all the way down, but nonetheless. That was pretty much it. So today was not the easiest day to trade. I mean, we had some nice moves and we just had to be patient enough to wait for them. I say that as we took a put on the very opening candle. And it wasn't just me, guys. A good portion of our community had a one and done on the first 3 minutes of the day. Our win-loss ratio today is outstanding. Last I saw was like 30 reds and 140 greens, something like that. Very good day in the community. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you found some useful information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, there's links down below. We'd love to have you. Our quarterly annual discount is in effect right now. So if you're interested in joining for more than a couple of months, that is the best way to take advantage of it. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you all had a fantastic day. Till tomorrow, I love you guys.